It's been an interesting start to 2025 here at VINwiki, and I do apologize for the sensational Stradman-esque headline, but honestly, this last month I did crash the green Lamborghini. The Spyker got vandalized, and I have changed my mind in a meaningful way about the Bugatti. And so I'm going to talk about that today. We'll show you around the cars and give you updates on everything. But to start with, the Verde Draco car did suffer a bit of an accident. Not as bad as it could have been, but that's why we're making this video. So when I had this car painted 6 years ago, I had Tion from AP3, our local clear bra shop, fly out there and actually clear bra the car in Scottsdale so that I could road trip it home. Now, the main theory of clear brawing not just the nose of the car, but every square inch of it was that if I ever damaged the car, I didn't want to have to match the paint across multiple panels, and I didn't want to have to repaint the whole car, which can happen because of the way the panels on exotic cars tend to intersect. And so the entire car has been clear brawed for the last 6 years and 20 or so thousand miles. But a couple of weeks ago, my wife and I had taken the car to dinner, had a nice evening, and came home, and the babysitter had parked her car kind of in the middle of the driveway. So my wife was going inside, and I was going to have to do the 10-point Austin Powers turn to back the car into the middle bay of the garage. Now, the barn doors here look very pretty, but they don't open all that wide. And for a Mercy, there's less than an inch of clearance on each mirror. But with the manual cars, it's really not that hard to get them in as long as you're slow and careful. Unfortunately, in the dark, as I was pulling it all around, I heard that sound that you hate most of all at low speed in an exotic car, that crunch and that abrupt stop where I had backed into something. Now, I thought that I would have cleared everything, but I ended up hitting my basketball goal here. And I got out as mad as a person can be, and I start looking around like, what did I do? And I couldn't immediately see the damage. The bumper wasn't hanging off, and the taillight wasn't broken. I'm like, what did I do? And so I ended up pulling the car in very carefully, getting the lights on, and I'm looking along the edge of the bumper. I can't find anything, but as I go around to the kind of this corner of the side, I had scuffed and damaged the corner of the bumper up to the quarter panel. Now, if the clear bra hadn't been there, certainly it was going to have to be a total repaint. But fortunately, it looks like, at least in my initial assessment, that the clear bra had protected me. It had saved the car. It was very much torn and scuffed, but it didn't look like it went through. I couldn't see primer or anything below that. And so the next day I took it over to Tion at AP3, their nearby shop here, and had him pull it off and look at it. And fortunately, it did. We will not have to paint the car at all. There are a couple probably like hairline fractures in the paint that you won't really see once the clear bra is back on. But as we were doing it, I honestly found another spot where I guess a tree limb or something rode around my tire in the rear wheel arch on the same quarter panel and actually cracked. I hadn't noticed the exact same type of little cracks in the paint there, so I'm sure I'm not going to notice them, or certainly won't care about them now. But the clear bra did save me. About a week later, I was at a funeral with my Spyker here, good funeral car, loving the car, been driving it a lot more lately, and I come out and I look at it and somebody has keyed my passenger door on my Spyker. And I'm like, who does that ever? But certainly at a funeral. Now this car, the nose is clear brawed and the rockers, but not the doors, quarters, and the rest of the car. So if I had clear brawed it, it would have protected me there. Fortunately, it doesn't catch a fingernail. I don't really think it's that bad. So I think BAM and the Glossit team are going to be able to clear that out. But holy cow, what kind of piece of garbage human being is going to do that at a funeral? But again, I think we'll get past that one unscathed, but it would have been a total non-issue if I had clear brawed the car. And that takes me to the third car, the Veyron. Now, when I put the clear bra on the Mercy, I felt like, yes, I'm protecting it. I don't want to have all the damage, and I don't want to have to repaint the car. But I have regretted it a little bit because I would have all 20,000 miles of rock chips along the nose of the car if I hadn't. And I like the way that looks. I like to drive my cars. I like to have them as dirty as they always are. And it never bothers me for them to look a little bit worn, especially when I'm the one doing the wear and tear. And so I had decided with the Bugatti that I would not do any paint protection film, thinking I want it to rack up all the rock chips and things that it can. Now, unfortunately, Bugatti paint is really, really thick, and so I haven't, even in the 3,000 or so miles, I don't think I've gotten any meaningful rock chips. And so I don't know that it was necessarily going to matter, but after I would have been saved here, and I most certainly was saved with the LP640, I told Tion, just do whatever you want. And he is going to cover every square inch of that car in XPEL PPF. And I am so grateful for, I guess, a decade and a half of awesome work from Tion and the team at AP3. So we're going to go over there now, check on the progress on the Bugatti, and I guess now I'm into PPF and keeping cars looking good.
Man.
Oh man, always good to see. It's a lot cleaner than I gave it to you. I apologize. It had been on quite the road trip to Hilton Head and back.
It's all good.
But yeah, I mean, after your clear bra saved me thousands and tens of thousands of dollars on not having to repaint the Verde Draco car, I guess we have to, right?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, look, when I first spoke to you about this car, you said, hey, I'm not going to do PPF. So what was your thinking back then, and what made you change your mind?
You know, every year when I go to Monterey Car Week, there is a guy that drives his Ferrari Enzo from Boston to Monterey for the show. And it is covered in rock chips, the windshield's cracked, like it is beat. But I love it. It's got like 80,000 miles on it. Mm-hmm. And when I have 80,000 miles on this car, I would love for it to look that way. I'd love for it to look just battered and tattered and destroyed.
Okay.
But not because I run into basketball goals.
Right.
Or somebody keys me at a funeral.
Yeah, I hear you.
And so it's like, I want the right amount of damage or the right kind of damage, which I don't know that I can necessarily pick one or the other. And so I think for now, you know, they did such a great job, the Glossit team, of paint correcting it and detailing the car, and it looked so good. Mm-hmm. I've managed to get it quite dirty since then. But I think for the sake of keeping it looking this good, your ethos of AP3 is correct.
Sure, yeah, and they did do a great job of detailing the car. You know, you're being a little hard on yourself. It came in really good condition. We didn't have to do too much, really just a quick buzz to remove some of the ceramic coating, make sure the film actually sticks to the car when you do decide to drive at 200 miles per hour or maybe even faster than that. And so after we removed the ceramic coating and got to doing the install work, it was smooth sailing. You know, believe it or not, XPEL has a lot of pre-cut templates for this car that fit really well for the doors, the hood, the entire front end, and the rockers, which if you notice the grates down there in the open wheel design, that is where rocks are literally getting thrown down the side of the car. So, you know, on top of just the risks of maybe a basketball goal in your driveway or getting keyed at your grandma's funeral, just driving this car 1 or 2 miles immediately causes stuff to get thrown down the side of the car. So
yes,
it only makes sense.
Just like a Mercy, these are always full of dirt.
Yeah, and believe it or not, there was factory film just on the leading edge of the carbon fiber rocker. We removed that for you. It was really grimy and nasty. 12-year-old factory film doesn't hold up nearly as well as the XPEL that we're putting on the car will. And so then for the areas that we don't have pre-cut templates, you know, like the rear quarters, really the entire back half of the car, we've done custom work there. So that involves a lot of time consuming, laying these big sheets of film on the car. You don't need to know all the technical aspects of it. You just need to know that basically this car is staying in the wrapper, so to speak.
We're putting it in the wrapper.
Yeah, exactly.
That's amazing. Yeah, and so it had PPF and some really bad black vinyl, I guess from a previous wrap, along here, and we took that off when Bam and the guys were detailing it, and so I've been just using painter's tape. Sure. So if you could maybe make that look a little more proper, now that we've removed the roof. But I mean, I have loved the feeling of not having to worry about the sound of rock chips and things like that with the LP640. Now, how many of my cars have you done?
It's hard to say. I would guess about a dozen. You know,
so.
First car I ever worked on for you was actually an orange Mercy Roadster.
That's right. My first Mercy.
Yeah, and that was just a quick detail, right? Polished it up for you, cleaned out the interior. I think the next car I worked on for you was your red Mercy Coupe. Yeah. That was actually, you gave me the opportunity to practice paint protection film on it because I'd just gotten back from XPEL class. Maybe that's a story for another time.
It might be.
But one of my favorite cars I've ever done for you was your Roof RT12S.
Oh my goodness.
That came with kind of a little bit of a splotchy paint job, and the Stealth PPF we put on there evened it out and actually made it look pretty nice.
I had forgotten. I know that was the first car that we did the whole car, and it was because the paint looked so bad.
Right.
And that clear bra is still on it. It's sold several times through very reputable auctions and dealerships.
Hey.
But it had spots on it. Not as bad as the spots on the Black Mercy Roadster, but visible halos and things all over the matte paint. So it's been quite a journey, and I certainly appreciate everyone. You have saved me from many, many a rock chip, and it sounds like you're going to save me from a whole lot more.
Yeah, man. I mean, honestly, the run-in with the Mercy, I think, you remember the TV show Scared Straight? Where they take kids to the jailhouse. Well, I think your incident with the Mercy might have scared you straight. Before you were, reluctantly saying, I'll get the PPF done on the cars. But now you're actually calling me saying, hey, I need the PPF done on the whole car right away. So maybe you've been scared straight. I certainly appreciate the opportunity to protect your amazing fleet of cars, Ed. And I really hope that, the film doesn't have to be put to that kind of test again.
I hope not to. Thank you for everything. We'll see you soon. So in a few short days, the Bugatti will be right back here where it belongs, and it'll be considerably more protected than perhaps I intended it to be, but I am sure I will enjoy not incrementally destroying that beautiful red paint finish that so many of you online hate. But I'm so grateful again for the ongoing support of AP3. Honestly, having their protection on the cars is an invaluable resource when it comes to using them and driving them the way that I want to. And so I'd like you to check them out at ap3atl.com for whatever you need in terms of paint protection and ceramic coatings here in the Atlanta area. In fact, if you mention this video or VINwiki when you contact them, they'll upgrade your clear bra with a ceramic coating on top of it as well. I gotta say, when they first did my Verde Draco car now 6 years ago, they put the ceramic coating on top of the film, and still to this day the water just beads off. It is the easiest car that I've ever had to keep clean. And so be sure to thank Tion and his team for their continued support of VINwiki and for saving me so much money in paint work this time on the LP640. I know it can do the same for you and your car. Thanks so much.